What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first installment of Honest and Uneducated, show where we discuss anything from movies, movie news, television, comic books, statues, collectibles, all that sorts of good stuff. And joining me today is none other than Rick Metz. How you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Do you have a good day today?
I did. How was yours?
It wasn't too bad. I didn't do too much.
Yeah, I cut the grass, ate some lunch,
I
went to
cut the
the
grass
gym.
too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
There wasn't a whole lot of news today, so I figured, getting started here, we'll just talk about the Snyder Cut. And it's a pretty big deal. I mean, fans rejoice kind of everywhere once Zack Snyder held that um the watch along that he did for Man of Steel when Henry Cavill came out, and all of a sudden dropped the announcement that the Snyder Cut was actually going to be real. And so yeah, fans rejoice. So my question to you, Rick, is are you excited for the Snyder Cut? What do you want to see out of the Snyder Cut? And I mean, just what are your general thoughts on it coming out altogether?
Well, to start, I'm not exactly the biggest DC fan by any means. I hate to say that. Saw the original Justice League, thought it was entertaining for the most part. Definitely wasn't anything on the caliber of like Avengers or anything like that. But I'm just hoping that maybe they have a little bit better story put together. Things kind of flow a little bit better, things are explained better. So we'll see if that happens. But, with you being the Justice League fan, what I was going to mention is what do you think is going to change from the Snyder Cut from the original? Because I'm not as familiar with it as you are.
Right, and I'll say that's actually an interesting question because none of us really know how different it really is from the original cut. The only thing that Zach and Deborah kind of said at all was that their initial cut that they played for audiences and everything for like test audiences back before he left the project because of the tragedy that happened in his family was that it was initially a 4 hour cut of the film, and he never. Zach
Jeez.
himself said that he never actually watched the theatrical release of Justice League, but just through word of mouth of people who did watch it who were close to him, he said that around probably 40% of what he even shot for the movie actually ended up in that theatrical cut. So it being a 4 hour movie, Zack Snyder's version, and him saying that maybe only 40% of what he has shot even ended up in that movie, it's pretty safe to say that there's probably going to be a good amount of new footage and new things in there. And then, sorry, and we also did know that um, probably the most, I don't know, coolest thing that he said is that Darkseid was actually going to be a part of it, which a lot of people were happy about because the theatrical cut, it didn't really flow very well with how it was. And you could kind of tell that, yeah, just watching it, it really probably wasn't um, I don't know how the story was kind of intended to go initially. It just seemed kind of like it was thrown together. So I don't know how long it's been
Yeah.
since you've seen Justice League, but I mean, is if like Dark Side, for instance, is that something that you would like kind of excite you as seeing more Dark Side?
Yeah, from what I remember, there wasn't much at all. There was just a lot of like things that kind of had to do with him, like soldiers, all that sort of stuff. But I think if they made him like if anything, like a major character, or at least had like a really good appearance in the film, I think that would definitely give it some more appeal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Because I know Zach and Deb recently said that this was kind of an interesting thing too, that they're what they have now of Zack Snyder's cut is and by no means a completed movie. They I think the metaphor they used was they essentially have a frame of a car. So they don't have any, siding. They don't have they don't have any electronics. There's nothing in it.
Still a
There's
lot to put
yeah,
together.
there's it's essentially nothing. They have to do all the post production, recut the movie and everything. And then
Yeah.
HBO Max has come out and said that they are thinking about actually doing a 4 or 6 episode miniseries for it as opposed to it being one movie.
Really?
Yeah, which
So like they would take the movie and make it into like four separate episodes, like TV sort of thing.
mhm, yeah,
Interesting.
which makes sense because it'd be more beneficial for HBO because they drop their episodes on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So for HBO Max, it's really good for them because they'll be able to release an episode of Justice League every week to bring in new subscribers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it gives them something to look forward to every week, which just like something we're going to talk about later with Mandalorian. They with Disney Plus and Mandalorian, they dropped their episodes weekly.
That
So
was
that
cool.
gives yeah, and that gives them something that gives fans and everything every week something to talk about.
Yeah,
You know, because like with Netflix, they dropping all their stuff at once. I mean, did you watch Stranger Things season 4?
I did not.
You didn't watch it?
No, I didn't
Well,
really watch much up until like season 2, actually.
did you watch The Witcher?
I watched some of The Witcher. I watched a little bit from the beginning. It was pretty interesting. Henry Cavill is totally jacked in that show.
He's
Um,
jacked up.
Dude,
Yeah,
he is yoked,
he's a
but
specimen, dude.
a
He's a
specimen.
he is a specimen
He
for
is,
sure.
for sure, for
Well,
sure.
the point being though is like when with Netflix dropping their stuff like at once, everyone watches it all and they talk about it for a week and they're done.
Yeah, it's over.
A week, 2 weeks after Stranger Things season 4 comes out, no one's talking about Stranger Things season 4 anymore. It's
Because
done.
everybody's already binge watched
Yeah,
it.
everyone's watched it. It's
Yeah,
over. Like no one cares anymore.
yeah,
But doing your releases weekly, it gives you even if it's 4 episodes for, the Snyder Cut, that's a whole month's worth of, anticipation and buildup for
yeah.
HBO Max to have to just keep bringing new subscribers in because they're gonna if episode 1 of this miniseries of the Justice League comes out and it's amazing, then word of mouth is going to build, and then people who
Oh,
aren't
for sure.
subscribed to HBO Max are gonna think about, "Well, maybe I should subscribe to HBO
I think the
Max."
whole weekly formula is much better than just dropping it all at once, like you were saying. It just definitely makes it more interesting and gives you more stuff to look forward to and anticipate.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a better platform. I mean, I like binge watching just like anybody else does, but, as far as when it comes to building an audience, keeping an audience, bringing in a new audience, it's, dropping things weekly is definitely, a better way to go about it, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
I would
for
agree
sure.
with you on that. But, back to the Justice League stuff. One thing that I'm really excited to see with it myself is, Zack Snyder's been dropping some hints here and there, and what I'd like to bring up here for you so, yeah, obviously, there it is, 2021 on HBO Max, but he's been dropping these I'll cut that out 'cause I clicked on the wrong fucking one. These are some footage. This is some test footage here that he's been dropping of, Darkseid
That looks
in this
sweet.
battle. So, if you remember, I know it's been a while since, anyone's really watched Justice League because I mean, why would you watch Justice League? In this battle in the movie, this was essentially in Zach's version of the film. In Steppenwolf come or in sorry in the theatrical run, this was the flashback battle between um the Atlanteans and the Greek gods, the man, humans and everything. And in the movie, it was just Steppenwolf that came down. And, in Zach's version, that flashback apparently not only actually was supposed to feature Darkseid, it was also apparently an hour-long battle. So a whole hour of the movie
Jeez,
was going to be
intense.
with the flashback battle with Darkseid himself. So here's one this is the only other test screen that we have of Darkseid. So, I mean, I don't know.
That looks pretty awesome.
It does.
I
I mean,
like it.
thinking of this scene from, the movie itself, the theatrical version, I don't know if necessarily an hour of it's needed by any means. That does seem like kind of it's almost like its own movie, more so than it just being some, I don't know, storytelling flashback. I don't know if it's really needed by any means, but it being Dark Side coming back, in that time period when the Greek gods were still there and everything, and him coming to, terraform the earth or whatever he was intending on doing with his forces makes a lot more sense than Steppenwolf kind of being there for no reason, like it was in the theatrical run, because we never really knew why Steppenwolf was there. And I know one
Yeah,
thing was supposedly about the original film was Zach's original version was uh, it's just something I heard. I can't really say if it's 100% true, but I believe his version was Steppenwolf. His purpose on wanting to get the mother boxes was like there was his mom was actually like her spirit or something was actually stuck inside of the mother boxes. So
Makes
in
sense.
in the theatrical run, you kind of hear him referring to the boxes. They are called mother boxes, yes, but the way he was actually referring to them, he just kept saying like mother, mother, like as if he was actually trying to like get to his real mother, as opposed to it just being some random device that allows him to teleport
Who
everywhere.
wants to see his mom?
He wants to see.
I mean, let's be real.
It's true. It's true. I mean, who wouldn't want to see their mom? But anyway, so that I mean, I think that makes it a lot. I mean, that alone was a much more compelling story than why Steppenwolf was there in the theatrical version because we don't really know why he was there in the
Yeah, they
theatrical
don't
version.
explain
It's not
that.
really explained at all. It's
Yeah.
just kind of lame. So, I mean, I definitely do like. I like these images that we're getting with Dark Side. I think it all looks good. Um, he looks kind of janky, but I mean, this is some like
It's like
pre
some pre-CGI,
yeah, it's some
like
pre-production modeling, and I mean, it's a further along render than a lot of other things would be, but, yeah, it's nothing too exciting by any means, but it does, it's exciting knowing that Darkseid was actually present here and it not just being, Steppenwolf, and that Zach had a lot more plans for this battle in particular than what we ended up getting in the theatrical version anyway. Because 'cause I'll tell you this, there was, like, Green Lanterns were featured in this battle and everything, so there were also rumors that and Kevin Smith actually said this when he visited the set of, Justice League while it was filming, that there was a scene towards the end of the film where, um, it's right into the 3rd act, and it's Alfred, and it was in all the trailers, and then,
yeah,
like, it's Alfred, like, sitting there in the garage, and all of a sudden he looks up, and it was Superman in the movie, right?
yeah.
And he's like, he says something about, like, "Well, maybe now with you, and, like, there'll be hope or something," right?
Mm.
But Kevin Smith said that when he was on set, they were filming that scene, and while on that during the filming of that scene, they had a green light shining on Alfred,
Oh, interesting.
indicating that and what he presumed, obviously, was that it was Green Lantern,
Oh, instead of Superman.
who was actually supposed to show up
Yeah,
during that 3rd act there to come and help. So,
interesting.
it would be interesting, but, the thing is, though, we haven't had a Green Lantern since Ryan Reynolds. So
Well, we don't have to get into that.
right. Well, that movie's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. It's mainly just the parallax stuff that was kinda, like, not the
A lot
greatest.
of CGI.
A lot of CGI, but the CGI suits, make sense.
They do.
Well, I mean,
What are you
with
gonna
the
put them in
well,
spandex?
that's what I'm
Like,
saying, with the way that the Green Lantern powers work, like, the CGI suit did make sense. Now, I'm not saying it looked great. Maybe they don't look as great as they could have looked, but it looked okay.
what's the guy's name?
It's fine.
Sinestro?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Mark Strong,
he
dude,
looked awesome.
Mark Strong as Sinestro was great. That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
That was the best part. It was kinda stupid they did the end tag with him putting on the yellow ring, though, because 'cause we're never gonna get that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, whatever, but what would you have thought if it would've been Green Lantern showing up? Do you think that would've been kinda rushed, or do you think it would've
Um,
made sense?
it'd be one of those things where it's like you wouldn't really expect it, and one part of me would be like, "Oh, that's surprising. That's awesome." But the other part of me would be like, "Are they just kind of throwing this in here? Like, is this just like you said? Is it rushed? I don't know."
Right. I think the big thing with it would be is how they did it. If that was something they were gonna do, then cool. If not, meh, I don't know. It's not something that like, would you want to see that? Do you think that would've made it anything better at all?
I mean, but then you've got to go into like why Green Lantern's there. Like, there's a whole other story that kind of opens up just from that one scene. If that were to happen, there'd be a lot of questions. I feel like that would be left unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, DC's not one who's been, not one to shy away from just shoving people into movies, though. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
could see him doing it.
I could see that. I
Right,
mean, I
but
I think it'd be cool. I've always liked Green Lanterns.
Green Lantern deserves a good redo,
Yeah,
but, I mean, speaking of HBO Max, they are supposedly developing a Green Lantern show for HBO Max, but
interesting.
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. They've announced it, but there's been As far as I'm aware, no casting or anything like that on it, so
Yeah.
who knows? The only other thing that I think that I'm looking forward to most about, the Snyder Cut, as far as anything new that could be coming into it, would be the involvement of Martian Manhunter, surprisingly.
That would be cool.
So, Zack Schneider did drop, because actually, to preface this, before I just pull this, image up, ever since Man of Steel and BVS came out, I always wanted, do you remember I don't know how long it's been since you watched those movies, but there was a general character, I think his name was General Swanwick,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was, played by Harry Lennox.
Mhm.
And ever since Man of Steel and BVS, I always wanted him to be Martian Manhunter, like, secretly the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, because he was always the one guy with the government who was pushing to, you know, let everyone else know Superman's on our side, dude. Like,
Yeah, like,
let's not,
he's
let's not kill him, man. Like,
for sure.
let's help the dude in blue. So,
Help the dude in blue.
yeah, like I always just I wanted it to be revealed at some point that he was Martian Manhunter. That was because I felt like it would have flowed very well and would have made sense with just everything we've been presented already with that character. And then sure enough, um, fuck. And then sure enough, I had the wrong thing pulled up. Let me do it again. And then sure enough, Zack Schneider releases this image, much like he's been dropping a lot of stuff, obviously, like we've been showing before, but he released this indicating that Martian Manhunter actually, in some way, was involved.
Oh, is that the storyboard
This is a
from
storyboard that he drew, and he says, "This is something that you probably didn't know."
interesting.
So, that is, like, obviously seeming to suggest that, well, and then if you look right here, what's that say, buddy? What's that say right there?
Wow.
What's that say right there? Let me make that bigger for you? Let me make that bigger? It says Swanwick.
Swan, so there you go.
So there we go.
Question answered.
Exactly. So I was like, "Well, god, there it is." So if this is legit and this is actually in the movie, then that'd be one thing that I don't necessarily believe is needed by any means, but it'd be really cool.
So Zack Snyder released that himself then.
Zack Snyder releases himself.
Interesting.
So he in some way had, whether this was gonna be just some idea he threw away or if it was going to be something maybe planned for the future or maybe something he wanted to fit into the film, who knows?
He's
But
being very cryptic about it all.
yeah. He is, but I don't know, that'd be something that would I'd be excited for because Martian Manhunter is a pretty cool character. I love to see him on screen. He's been in the Supergirl TV show on CW, and, I mean,
Yeah,
for the most part, he's been okay in that, but I don't really watch that show anymore, so I
yeah.
kinda gave up after a couple seasons,
Never
maybe
saw
1. Yeah, it wasn't it was it's fine, it's not a bad show, it's fine.
it.
It's
You
a
just
it's
trying to backtrack now?
No, it's fine, but they don't, ever since they brought in Superman on that show, they just kinda they make Supergirl get one over on Superman to make Supergirl look good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
And I mean, it's Superman.
yeah, it's like Supergirl, a derivative character, is not better than Superman.
No.
Like, and you don't have to make Supergirl look good by beating Superman. There's other things
How
you
do
can
you
do.
do that? I mean,
You
he's Superman. Like,
he's super. There's a reason he is Superman. He's the granddaddy of all superheroes. He's the first superhero. He is the guy. He's the dude.
he's the dude.
You're not better than Superman. They even had a line in the show. I think it was the first episode he came in and like did his appearance on, where like he leaves obviously because it's not his show, but he tells her like this, the city doesn't need me because they have you. Like
Oh,
you're the real hero. It's like, dude, no, that's not how
that's
it
just
works.
yeah.
This is not how it works. But regardless, I think Martian Manhunter's addition to the movie would be good.
The Green
I
Lantern
mean,
wouldn't be bad either, but no, I think Martian Manhunter would probably be cooler.
Green Lantern would be good. I feel like if they were to actually go with the Swanwick being Martian Manhunter, it would have a little bit. It would make more sense. They
Yeah.
wouldn't need to, like, if Green Lantern came in, like you were saying. It's like, where'd he come from? Like, if it was gonna be Hal,
Yeah.
because what Green Lantern is it gonna be? Is this gonna be a random alien Green Lantern? Is it gonna be Hal Jordan? Like,
Yeah, I
who is
mean,
it
there's
gonna
so many
be?
different variables to that.
Yeah, and then everyone's just, if he just comes in out of nowhere, it's like, well, where did he come from? Like,
Yeah,
so I don't
for
know.
sure.
But I'd love to see Green Lantern actually be a part of it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's kinda how it should be when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I just feel like if you rush a character like that, somebody like as significant as Green Lantern, I just don't know if that would work.
It depends on how it was used. I know probably, I mean, I was gonna say maybe it wouldn't work too well for the general audience. I mean, fans of the franchise and the comics and everything would probably just be like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, we're on board."
Hey, Green
But
Lantern.
at the same time, like, if it doesn't make any sense, and then if the general audience is just confused because 'cause they've only ever seen Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not Ryan Reynolds coming in, like, if they call him the same name, if it was, like, another guy playing Hal Jordan who's never been introduced in any way, shape, or form until
Yeah.
just showing up there all of a sudden,
And
it would
obviously, it would
confuse
have to
people.
be a big
Mm.
actor if it's gonna be Hal Jordan, you know? So it's like you just have him show up out of nowhere, and I just
I'll
that
tell you what,
work.
you wanna know who my fan casting for
I
Hal
already know who it is, but
No,
go
you
ahead.
don't. No, you don't. Who is it? Who is it?
Nathan Fillion.
Nope. No. No way. He'd be great. He voices them in the animated shows and
I
stuff,
remember you used to always
but
talk about that.
that would be good, but at this point, he's just a little too I'm not to be ageist in any way, but like,
Ageist.
he's a little old to be
He
playing,
is.
like, depending on the way they were gonna go with it. If they were gonna go with an older Hal Jordan, maybe training Jon Stewart or something,
Yeah.
then, yeah, Nathan Fillion would be great.
Who you thinking?
Yeah, and this actually can't happen. Like, I mean, they if it could happen, but they'd have to really change things up because my personal favorite choice for, Hal Jordan would be Chris Pine.
Chris Pine.
Yeah, but
Actually, that would work. I could see that.
but he can't do it because he's in Wonder Woman. He's Steve Trevor.
Yeah. You couldn't have that, like, crossover sort of thing, and
Well, he's just already playing a character that is in the same universe who died during World War One.
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess they could always make it off to be like maybe he's Steve Trevor's son, just his distant relative to Hal Jordan.
They just
Or
look
he is Hal
similar.
Jordan. Is that they just look the same, but they're different because he's
Yeah.
a couple generations removed. But he would just be I feel like he really embodies what a Hal Jordan kind of character would be.
Yeah.
Just like the way he played Captain Kirk and even the way he
That's what I
plays
was
Steve
thinking.
Trevor and everything. Like that's he has a very good Hal Jordan personality.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He would be a perfect Hal Jordan, but it can never happen now because he's Steve Trevor, unfortunately. So yeah. But it is what it is. And the only other thing really that I have with Justice League that I wanted to ask you about was what do you think about them having to spend, I don't know, anywhere from 50 to $100 million just to finish this movie? Finish a movie that's already come out because they initially came out and said the reports came out and said when this was announced that it was actually happening that it was going to be about $30 million to complete. But then one of I forget the head executive's name at HBO Max. He was doing an interview though, and someone asked him like, "How do you feel about the $30 million and whatever?" And he was like, "I wish it was only costing me $30 million."
That's insane.
So, and just like we were kind of started this thing off, just with how unfinished Zach and Deborah said this thing was, there's really no way it could be done for $30 million. I
No,
mean, if you
no.
looked at the Darkseid's CGI model has never even apparently, from everything we know,
Been fully, like,
it hasn't
rendered.
even been fully rendered.
Yeah.
And if that battle itself was an hour-long battle, it was only like 15 minutes worth of footage in the movie. So if Zach's gonna include something like that in there, you're talking about just that battle alone could be upwards of 30, 40 minutes of full CG rendering that would need to be
Oh, that
done.
would be
Like,
insane
it's
budget-wise.
yeah, this is not it's not gonna it's $30 million is like that's nothing. It's easily gonna cost I'd say 50 to 100 million. So what do you think about them spending that much to finish a movie that's already came
Well,
out?
not the one writing the check, so but, to me, my question is, and, maybe you can answer this, is it worth it at that I mean, that is a lot of money to basically spend on something that was messed up, and they're just trying to fix it, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you could literally, I feel like, produce an entire other movie for that much.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd say the only way for HBO Max, they obviously think it's worth it to some capacity, or they wouldn't be spending the money. That I mean, that's for sure. There's that even like the head guy said, like, he wishes it was only gonna cost him 30, but they have a plan, I
Yeah,
would assume, and they definitely see value in it, and I mean, you can see how it hyped everybody up, just the announcement of it. It was, I don't know, for probably a solid week or 2, that was the top of the headlines,
yeah.
like, just Snyder Cut's
I
coming out.
remember before the announcement was made, like, I'd log into Facebook and I follow all these like superhero pages and news pages, and it was just like Snyder Cut, Snyder Cut, Snyder Cut. So pretty crazy.
No, yeah, absolutely, and, like, I mean, there were fans for the last year just praying and making, what do you call it, petitions and everything for the Snyder, to complete the Snyder Cut and to release the Snyder Cut and all this stuff, and, like, so, I mean, I guess now though, like, rejoice, Snyder Cut fans, because it is coming, and I don't know, I just hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah.
I just hope it's good.
I mean, they're gonna put that much money into it. It better be good.
It better be good, and, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, HBO, like I said, they have to see some value in it, and it's definitely got everybody talking. Unfortunately, I don't really think it got anybody talking about HBO Max, but
Yeah.
it did get people talking about the Snyder Cut. So, but I mean, that aside, I mean, it is what it is. I am looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it though? In the end, are you excited to see the Snyder Cut?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, with the anticipation that's been built up and all the talk and all that, at this point, it's like, yeah, let me see it.
Sure. No, I'm with you. I'm excited, and major. I don't know. 2021. We'll have to wait.
2021.
It would have been. It would have. I will say the last thing I'm going to say about it is if they should have really got this going, they should have tried their damnedest to get this going and ready for the launch of HBO Max,
Oh yeah.
because they had next to no original content dropped with their platform. They
Yeah.
didn't even have deals in place to release HBO Max on Roku devices and Amazon devices.
It's
So
ridiculous.
I mean, they're literally the 2 biggest streaming platforms that, like, just by user count, and you can't even get HBO Max. So I'd say as far as HBO Max goes, that's definitely something that I think would have really, really benefited them, is if they could have had the Snyder Cut ready to go for the launch of HBO Max, and if they actually would have had everything done for or everything in place, all the contracts in place for them to actually be able to release on Amazon devices and Roku devices, it would have just made HBO Max's user count just skyrocket, I think. All right, so our next topic I want to get into this with you, Rick. Here is the news of the Matt Reeves Batman film and the Robert Pattinson being casted as the Dark Knight himself. And I'm excited to talk to you about this before, because I actually haven't heard your thoughts on Robert Pattinson being cast as Batman at all. So before I say anything, I actually want to just kick it right over to you so I can get your thoughts on it.
Well, I actually kind of thought about this already. One of the biggest things to me is I would have never imagined in my life that you would be seeing Edward Cullen from Twilight playing the Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne, whatever you want to call him. But the more I see the pictures, the more I see the promo images and kind of like hearing about what they're going for with everything, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I mean, it's more of like, from what I understand, a really realistic take on it, which Christian Bale, did kind of Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight. But I think this will be kind of an interesting, different kind of perspective to see it from.
No, sure. I'm with you all the way on that. So one thing I want to ask you about that, just because you brought up Edward Cullen, um, what other films have you actually watched of Robert Pattinson's and seen other than Twilight?
uh, honestly, I think the only other one I have seen was him in Harry Potter, which is not a very good example. I really wanted to watch The
Yeah,
Lighthouse. That looked really good with him and Willem Dafoe.
it was an interesting movie.
Yeah.
It was interesting for sure.
So, but I know he, outside of Twilight, he is a talented actor, obviously,
He is. He's a world class actor
and he's
himself.
got a
Like,
hell of a jawline.
he does too. I mean, yeah, you can yeah,
I'm
you
jealous.
can see in the pictures. I mean, he's got a good draw line, and I do like the look of the suit from what we've seen of it anyway. At least I'll tell you what, I like these pictures that were released of the suit. I thought those looked pretty good. when we saw I don't know if you saw these, but did you see the behind the scenes pictures that were taken these
I
days here?
did, and, I thought those looked awesome,
You
personally.
like these ones?
I did, but, not to cut into what you're saying, one thing that I've heard with this, and from what we've seen so far with the suit, besides those crazy dart-looking things on his gauntlets,
Right.
I've heard that this is just a prototype suit. I could be wrong. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of information there, but that obviously this is early in his career as the Dark Knight, and this is kind of a prototype suit that he had worked on, and that I guess throughout the film it progresses and gets more armored, more technologically advanced, whatever you want to call it.
Right. No, yeah, and that I've heard the same I've heard similar things because I mean, there's been very little information that's really came out about it, obviously, but it would make sense for it being a prototype suit, and I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a pretty good prototype suit,
Oh yeah,
all things considered. The only other thing with it that was kind of interesting, I mean, you could tell in other pictures. I don't have any to pull up here right now, but you can kind of see it on this one that the cowl it looks like it's a leather. Did you notice that? It looked
yeah,
like
and in
there's
that
stitching.
promo video, there's that's like you said, there's stitching
Yeah,
in the cowl itself, which
right.
I mean, it doesn't seem very protective, but
No, it did that, and that was the one thing I saw. I was like, really leather?
I mean,
I mean,
maybe there's something underneath.
I don't know. I guess it's better than nothing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was odd for it to, because I mean, it's Batman has had like a leather cowl before in like Gotham by Gaslight. It's honestly
Gotham by Gaslight.
yeah, it's a bit different, but
Yeah.
I mean that's what it reminded me of when I saw it. I was like, oh okay, but then like the collar that he has. That's obviously not like your standard Batman suit, what anyone would really think of, but
No.
there have been versions where he had a collar, and there was mainly the one, in the Batman anime that came out called, like, Gotham Knight, I think.
Oh, yeah, that was
It
pretty
had, like, a
cool.
bunch of miniseries, like, shorts,
They did a
essentially.
lot of things.
They did, and there was an actual, like, anime style, like, kind of futuristic Batman in that one, and, his had a collar as well.
Well,
Uh
in like Arkham Knight and all those Arkham games and things like that, Batman's suit got to a point where it was almost like Iron Man. I mean, like it was so technologically advanced. And to see it go back to where it's like the guy's cowl is literally made out of leather, you know, it's a little different, but Matt Reeves did a great job with Planet of the Apes, so I don't think that it's gonna be a bad movie by any means.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Matt Reeves, is a world-class director, and Robert Pattinson is a world-class actor. So I have all the utmost faith in the movie being good, and then Colin Farrell playing the Penguin,
That's interesting.
like, and then the guy from, There Will Be Blood playing, the Riddler. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a world-class actor too. I mean, ever there's the movie is stacked with talent.
Daniel Day-Lewis?
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
I was gonna
The
say.
guy who played his kid.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
I don't remember what his name is right now off the
I
top
was
of my
gonna
head.
say it's not Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, 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 that'd be pretty crazy.
That'd be an intense
That'd be s
Riddler.
that'd be something.
Yeah,
That
that
would
would be
have
an intense Riddler
yeah,
for
that would
sure.
absolutely be something worth watching for sure. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm definitely interested in it. I do like the look of the suit, particularly in these pictures. I think it look really good.
I heard
It
something, and correct me if I'm wrong. Um, People were talking about his insignia on his chest being made from the gun that was used to kill his parents.
No, yeah, that is kind of what it looks like, and
Mm.
there is actually precedent for that in the comics. They did do that, and I
It's a
forget what
weird concept.
it is a very that's what I thought. I thought it was actually like even for a comic book, I thought it was just kind of an odd thing for anybody to really want to do.
Like, why would you want to hang on to that and make that part of your suit?
Yeah, and it's
But
like, yeah, I get like symbolism is like I want to wear it as a reminder and things like
yeah,
but like no you don't. Like no one wants to do that.
who
Like
wants to
and
wear their parents' murder
okay.
weapon?
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. It's like even if you want to go for like the symbolism route and everything, okay, it's not very practical.
No,
Like, why are you gonna it's like, you could put anything in there, and you're
you could
gonna,
get a
like, get
carbon
this gun
fiber.
yeah, you're gonna just get the gun and melt it down to form it into the shape like, it doesn't
Yeah,
make
yeah,
any sense.
yeah. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, that may not even be what it is,
It
but
might not, but, I mean, it does look when you look at, some other people who are more gun experts did look at it and compare it to, like, actual weapons, and
oh, and they saw that.
it does there are traits that kind of indicate that, yes, that could be it, but at the same time, it could not be that too, so,
True,
who knows?
true.
But, yeah, I mean, Robert Pattinson, I would recommend actually watching, The Lighthouse. It's a weird ass movie. Um,
Trailers look weird.
it was really weird, but he's great in it, and then he did a movie with Guy Pearce called The Rover, which was he was really good in.
Sort of.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's been a lot of movies other than Twilight that he's done, and,
Yeah,
like
I don't think Twilight's the best example of his acting skills.
yeah, not as demonstrating his acting prowess by any means, and there were plenty of times where, like, him and Kristen Stewart, like, I think they did the audio commentary I think they did the commentary on, like, a couple of the movies, but I remember one in particular where they were kinda making fun of the movie as they were watching it the whole time, like,
Oh, sure.
they both gone on record to show that, like, they didn't really care about the movies all that much, and they
Yeah,
didn't really think that they were all that good
I
while they were
remember
being made.
watching them back in the day just like, "What in the hell is
Yeah.
going on?"
I mean, you wanna know something else, a fun fact about the Twilight movies and Edward Cullen. Do you know who the author's first pick was to play Edward in the movies?
I do, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Ironically, Superman himself, Henry Cavill.
Oh, yeah, I heard
Yeah.
about that.
He was her first pick to play Edward.
Another dude with a solid jawline.
And that would have been a very different movie, I think, because they're very different actors.
Yeah.
But, I'm glad Henry turned down the role.
Yeah,
But it is
probably his
funny
best
that,
interest.
like, one's Batman now. The dude who did take the role as Edward is now Batman, and the dude who turned down the role
It's Superman.
is Superman.
Pretty
So
crazy.
that's a fun little tidbit by all means. All right, Rick. So the next topic we're going to get in here today, I'm also pretty excited to talk with you about because shockingly, I have not heard your take on this at all. So we're coming in fresh here, and it's something that is not divisive whatsoever, and that is the Disney era of Star Wars. And in particular, we're going to kick it off with The Rise of Skywalker. So, before I tell you what I thought of it, go ahead and let me hear your quick review of The Rise of Skywalker by Rick Metz.
I'll give you the TLDR. So basically, wasn't a fan of The Last Jedi. Force Awakens was good. I mean, both movies were entertaining in their own rights. But me, Rise of Skywalker, I didn't leave the theater. When I left The Last Jedi, I walked out kind of disappointed. I'm not going to lie. And that's crazy because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And to walk out of a Star Wars movie, like, but I saw Rise of Skywalker and
Actually, we'll go back real quick. What uh, what is it that you didn't like about Last Jedi? Let's get into that.
it was just the way it was thrown together, like the use of characters. There's just so many little. I could nitpick it for days, and I mean, at the end of the day, I watched it like a week ago. It's still entertaining, but it just wasn't to me like the Force Awakens. I thought blew it out of the water.
Oh yeah,
But
much better movie.
but with Rise of Skywalker, I thought it was interesting how they brought the Emperor back. I mean, kind of strange because it's like, he did fall down like a huge shaft.
Mhm.
But the way that they explained it, and apparently he can transfer his consciousness into like clones and things like that.
Can he?
uh,
Can he?
That's what I've been told. Um, but no, I thought it was interesting. I thought, it's gonna sound really cheesy and lame, but I thought like the redemption of Ben Solo was pretty cool. I liked how they finally included the Knights of Ren for more than like 10 seconds, even though
Yeah,
they still didn't have a huge role.
yeah, they didn't do anything.
Yeah, they had a
That
cool
was
ship.
yeah. Is that all it takes?
Uh,
Is that it?
and Kylo Ren kind of whoops their ass Ben Solo kind of whoops their ass at the end of the movie. And
Here's one thing I'm gonna throw you just on the nice rim real quick before I forget about this. So like they don't do anything in that movie at all. They just follow people.
yeah,
So they're glorified PIs.
bodyguards.
Yeah, that's it. They just follow people. And then when they finally go into that scene where you're saying at the end, in the third act, where Ben Solo kind of wipes the floor with them, like it doesn't make any sense because they're called the Knights of Ren, right?
Yeah. I know the whole
Oh,
backstory about
but
Ren.
yeah, but So when Ben Solo shows up, they attack him. He was Kylo Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren. So they were actually not the Knights of Ren, or the Knights of Ren were actually working for the Emperor the whole time.
Yeah,
Like,
they didn't really explain that
no, they
too
did
well.
not, and that's one of the many things that that movie
I
didn't
think
really
more or
explain.
less, I like their costumes. I know that sounds super
Well, sure, they
lame,
look
but
cool.
they look super cool.
They look cool since we first got the glimpse of them in the flashback of The Force Awakens. Yeah, they looked
I
cool,
like the idea of the
but
Knights of Ren.
yeah, the idea is fine. Like, the idea of them is good. It's the execution I thought was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, mainly just because they didn't do anything, but then, like I said, like, if they're supposed to be Kylo Ren's subordinates, essentially, why were they actually the Emperor's subordinates? Because as soon as he shows up, they go to take Kylo out.
There's so many little
Like,
things like that that I ask questions about too, like the entire like Sith fleet. They go from literally the first order to like the final order within like a matter of seconds. And it's like, you're telling me all these people got new uniforms, new ships,
oh
all
no,
this
that's the
stuff.
thing too. They weren't even implied that it was the First Order. Then in the movie and everything, they make it out to be that the Sith Empire under Palpatine was completely separate.
Which doesn't make
No,
sense.
it doesn't make sense. You can't have that big. And what were
Yeah.
they doing?
Um,
They were all just floating outside of the
Exegol.
Exegol. They were just
Yeah.
floating there, not doing anything.
Well, I think they were getting ready for like galactic conquest, but you know, eh,
Were they though?
the visuals were cool, the storytelling not so much. I
Well,
am
no.
HO.
Right. My thing with that movie was I feel like it was a them trying to please the fans because of the
Oh yeah.
divisiveness of The Last Jedi, and I think that's what really I don't wanna say ruined the movie, but it ruined it for me. The movie's fine.
It's like they tried to
Like,
make up for The Last Jedi.
they did, because even JJ came out, for instance, for the during the years of The Force Awakens and then post that and, like, The Last Jedi and everything, they had no plans, and he was very firm on the fact that Rey's parents were, in fact, nobody. Like,
And then
'cause
they just switched
there
that
were,
around.
yeah, he literally went on record, there were articles written where he said there's just something, I'm paraphrasing here, but there's something unique and powerful about someone coming from nothing and being important and being powerful in the way that Rey is.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be family ties that make her
And
who
then
she
Rise of
is.
Skywalker, they just kind of throw that out the window. Like,
Yeah, and it's just like, but JJ, you went on record yourself and said that that wasn't the case. And then
true.
Ryan Johnson in The Last Jedi actually he followed through with her being nobody.
Yeah,
Like,
literally, Kylo Ren tells her
yeah,
that. Like,
he said
uh,
your parents are garbage or whatever. Just throw her
garbage. Yeah,
away.
they were like drunks or something.
Yeah, and so it's like Ryan Johnson actually followed through with that. So, and he just comes in and just because nobody, it just seemed like an odd thing to do to try to fix
Did
things.
JJ just change his mind like last minute, or
That's what it seems like. That's kind of what I think ruined the movie to some degree, was just because it was like a rushed thing. Because did you see the the Colin Trevorrow script that came out of what his version of
yeah, that was totally different.
completely different.
You
And
know
they
the oh, go ahead.
yeah, well, I was just gonna say they weren't apparently there was some sort of like prior to all three of the films being done, after JJ did the first film, there was apparently some talk. Like they didn't coordinate everything like Marvel does with Kevin Feige to where like this is where it's going, which was the biggest problem with the franchise, in my opinion. Like they
Yeah,
had no clear plan, and none of the writers and directors worked together to actually form what the story was. It was a really bad idea to say, okay, JJ, you set it up, and then or correction, it wasn't a bad idea for them to do it this way. It didn't work out because they decided to be reactionary about what happened with the Last Jedi. Had
yeah.
they just allowed the Colin Trevorrow to come in and actually do his script, for instance, or if they ran with that script and took him out of
Well,
directing,
Ben Solo wasn't redeemed in that script, was he?
no, I don't think so.
Good.
No, and but my point with that was, I'm sorry, was the fact that there was some form of communication between those writers and directors initially Like, there wasn't 100% collaboration, but, like, they all knew kinda where everything was gonna go. It was very minor collaboration. That being said, because Last Jedi was so divisive, they threw that out the window, and they completely
Yeah,
made this whole new I mean, it's clear as day because Colin Trevorrow got taken off the film. His script got thrown away, and they just they brought JJ back, the only one who made a successful well, a well-received Star Wars movie at this point in
yeah,
time, and they brought him back to make a whole new one to just kinda wrap everything up and make it, put a bow on it and just, like, shove it away and let's you
exactly.
do
It's just
whatever.
well, and there's
Right.
too much. There was just too many little things in the movie. I thought where it's just like you are just trying to please the fan. Like
100%. Like, it was cool to see Lando back.
it was, the one character I liked, I think more than anybody in the entire movie was Babu Frick.
Yeah, everybody liked Frick.
Yeah, how could you not? Like
I'm surprised he didn't get more screen time because, he was, like, really he ended up being very well received, but maybe that's why he was so well received because there was so little of him, you know?
he was funny.
Right.
I liked
He
him.
was good. He was good. Um, and then, my main gripe with that, though, is the fact that, with Rise of Skywalker, other than it just, like, being rushed and everything, um, and I actually made a whole, like, 20-minute video about this, on the channel. You can go watch it if you want. But it was just the fact that they did not explain why and how Palpatine was back,
They
like,
didn't.
in the movie at all, and then there were later the visual dictionary was released and said that, uh, like, they used, magic and the occult to bring him
Yeah, the
and
Sith
science
occult. Yeah,
yeah, to bring him back to life, and but then, the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker came out and said a completely different thing, so there's, like, it completely contradicted what,
make up
uh
your
yeah, and
minds.
it's like, okay, dude, like, you obviously had no idea. Like, they didn't even think this stuff through.
No,
Like,
no,
it just
not at
they just rushed it all in. They didn't even fit anything into the movie to explain it, and then they contradicted, like, how and why he came back in 2 different forms of canon. So there's, like, multiple versions of canon
yeah.
that are saying it was completely different things, and it
Well,
just
they've got like
that's what
what Star Wars canon. They've got Star Wars like Legends or something like that. That is like the off canon stuff. But
well, Legends is now everything that came out prior to Disney's acquisition of, Lucasfilm.
okay.
Everything is because back in the day, they used to have, like, multiple tiers of canon, and, like, the only canon that mattered was G canon, which was from George, and so they
Yeah,
called it G canon, so, like, then they had, like, A canon, B canon, C canon,
there were so
like
many books and
yeah,
extended
and
universe kind of
it was
things,
too
and
much to
yeah,
even keep and that's why, like, that was a good call on Disney to say, "All that stuff is Legends now." Like, there's not different tiers of canon anymore, it's just that's Legends material, and but this was the problem was that they said everything going forward, post-acquisition, was going to be canon. All the books were gonna be canon,
yeah.
all the video games are gonna be canon, everything. But then now they're contradicting their own
Of course, they're
canon.
contradicting it.
Like, it's just I don't know. That's what bothers me most about it. And then, like, the redemption of Ben Solo, I thought was fine. It could have been better. Obviously, it probably could have been more emotional if Leia could have been more involved, but obviously
Yeah,
Carrie Fisher's passing made that
made it a
impossible.
little
But they did a
difficult.
good job with what they had with that. I
They did.
thought they did okay.
Yeah,
It was okay.
I would say
Yeah,
so.
it was fun. I don't know. You got anything else to add about Rise of Skywalker?
Uh, the only other thing I'll say is I thought it was really corny at the end of the movie when he sucks Palpatine sucks the life forces out of the dyad of Rey and Ben
Oh
Solo
my
or whatever
god,
it
don't
is.
get it's a dyad thing too. That's another thing they didn't explain. Like,
Yeah, it's like what the heck is a dyad? Like
yeah, you have to read dictionaries and shit.
to understand
You
like
know?
what that
Yeah,
terminology
it's
even
like if you
means.
can't explain this stuff in a movie, then you're doing it wrong,
I
dude.
do have two more things to add though.
No, let's get into it.
One, I thought it was really cheesy when they did the whole lightning to the sky thing to take out the fleet.
Dude,
That
that
just
made no sense.
it didn't make sense. And the other thing is Palpatine continually basically begged Rey throughout the movie to kill him so they could the circle is complete. Like you'll become the next Sith person or whatever. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. She killed him.
Right.
she killed him. Like, I
She
mean, is
yeah,
that not what he wanted? Maybe
that
because
is
they used
true.
force lightning, it didn't count. I don't know, but like that opens up a whole new can of worms. Like, it's just didn't make sense to me.
Well, what did it have to do with the dyad though? Was that the whole, like, thing that threw it off?
Yeah, I don't
Like, the fact that, dude, I don't even care. That's
know.
the
That's yeah, right.
that's the
It's just
biggest
like
problem.
it
It's
was
like, you know what?
entertaining. I
I don't
mean,
care.
I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, like, what we're like, there's you brought up good points because, the force lightning into the sky to take out the ships, right? Okay. The dude, like, they tell you that the dude is too weak to, like, leave Exegol.
Yeah,
And he needs Ray like, he's too weak, so he needs Ray to fucking do the thing, kill him so she can just take the throne, right?
yeah,
No, no, dude, it was the dyad thing because remember, after something happened, he was able to, like, absorb their life force instead or whatever.
yeah.
So now he's walking around and like, "Oh, the force." But
With
anyway,
his yellow eyes and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but, it's just stupid. But the dude, like, how can you have that much power? If 2 seconds ago like, I'm sorry, but Kylo Ren nor Rey ever displayed that much power to where absorbing their life force to any capacity would
He
give
takes
him
out an
enough
entire
power.
fleet
Yeah,
of ships.
there's
Like it
no
doesn't.
way,
Yeah,
dude. There's no way. It
he's
makes
pretty
no
creepy
sense.
looking though.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, all the stage design and everything looked great.
Yeah. Thought it-
And the only other thing, this was kind of a nitpick though. It's like how Palpatine lose again?
How'd he lose?
Yeah, how do you lose?
He had the lightning shot back at him and he exploded.
Don't this dude learn?
Right? It's like, I mean, it's like every time
Didn't
he
this
whips
already
out the force lightning, something bad happens.
didn't he know to stop? Like, didn't he
But at
do
the
this
same time,
already?
maybe he got the last laugh because at the end of the day, Ray killed him. I don't.
But that didn't seem no, but he didn't get the last laugh. Maybe he got the last laugh in Revenge of the Sith when he got beat by his own Force lightning.
Yeah.
And but because in the end of this, Rey goes off and she's taking up the name of Skywalker now. She's not.
Ray Skywalker.
Oh, and that's another thing too. Like they made this whole point of like it doesn't matter where you come from, it's like like just because you're a Palpatine doesn't change who you are. They kind of try to make that thread go through.
Yeah.
Then why does she like take the name Skywalker? Why wouldn't she just stick with the Palpatine name?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like
yeah.
it goes against that thread, that beat. If like,
Luke and Leia were cool with it apparently, so
yeah, but another thing too, they didn't show like again nitpicking, but they don't really depict them having any sort of like cool relationship.
yeah.
Like, like in Last Jedi, Luke wanted nothing to do with like anybody, and then I mean, unfortunately, maybe they could have done more scenes with Leia and her, but they didn't, and they didn't do anything like building up to this to suggest that like
Yeah. I
they would be kind of cool with that. I don't know.
I liked Leia's lightsaber too. I thought that was pretty cool. Had a cool design.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine,
Was what it was.
but man, what do you think about? This is kind of off topic. Did you see about the the High Republic stuff that they're doing in the books now?
Yeah, yeah, that looks pretty cool.
What do you think about that? Like 300, 400 years before
It'll be
New Hope?
interesting to see how it's portrayed. Is it, you said it's just books?
Yeah, and that's the thing. This kind of goes back to just I might add, if I may. As I said prior, they didn't put any sort of like plan in place or thoughts or anything into like into the movies, right? They
Yeah.
just said JJ wrote this and then whatever, right? They didn't plan this out, right? They took, and I went over this in the video on the channel. They took all of the big writers who have written like Claudia Gray, like I can't remember any of their other names off the top of my head, but all of the big writers for all the Star Wars novels, Chuck Wendig, I think, maybe one of them, whatever. But they all went down there to like a resort, like took them all down, flew them down, and they planned out this whole High Republic era of stuff. Like it was a writer's room full. They had like a little behind the scenes like trailer for everything. Or they took all the writers for the Star Wars novels down to this room, this resort or whatever. They put them in
Fancy.
there for months. I forget how long it was. But,
Just
like
locked him in
yeah, they
there.
locked him in there and said, "Make some good shit." But, like but no, they really did to some capacity, but so they do all that, and these are just for books. Like, they didn't put this much love and effort and
I thought it
care.
was going to be a set of movies.
No,
Oh, that's
it's literally a set of novels,
ooh.
which is fine. Here's the thing, it's fine. It's more than likely just gonna be starting out as a set of novels, and I think this is what they should if in my opinion, and I'm no studio head or anybody successful in that field in any way, but as a fan who knows absolutely nothing about this, honest and uneducated, right? Like,
There it is.
yeah, there it is. Um, they should have like done this same process with the movie, like with the sequel trilogy. Not necessarily like lock everybody in a room, but like what I feel like they're doing is they saw the divisiveness of, whatever. Or maybe if you take that aside, they just wanted to make this book thing, whatever. I feel like if the series of the High Republic is successful, they'll obviously make movies or TV
Oh,
shows
yeah.
about it going forward. And I feel like it was a really if this is what they did, it's a really smart move on them to say, let's put a lot of love and care into building up this whole time period of the High Republic.
Yeah.
Let's get all our best writers on it. Let's all, get them in there and see what they come out with. Release a set of novels and then test the waters with, see how the fans, react to these stories, these characters, and whatever. And then if it works, great. Then we can move forward with doing some live action stuff. Maybe do another animated series based on the thing first.
Yeah,
See if
Clone
people
Wars and
like that.
Rebels were super popular.
Yeah, and like it's just kind of shocking that they put all this love and care into just a book series, but they didn't put. I mean, yeah, obviously they put. I'm not saying they didn't care about the movies; they obviously did. But when it comes to like a passion behind it, like and like really like just love and care, did not seem to go into the movies in this capacity at all. I mean, I think what the evidence kind of is very very relevant when you look at just the the fan reactions of everything just like going like that.
Yeah.
It's not.
It was very like up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it's because some people like this Rise of Skywalker, and then they just absolutely hate the Last
I
Jedi,
looked
and
at
then
it. I didn't really like Rise of Skywalker. I just found it entertaining. I like Star Wars. It's an entertaining Star Wars movie, whatever, you know. And so to me, I didn't leave disappointed by any means. I mean, yeah, there's definitely different ways I would have done things, but it was all right.
I did. I was pretty disappointed with. I was more disappointed with Rise of Skywalker than I was with Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah, there were some things I didn't like about Last Jedi, but mainly because, like I said, it just was a huge deviation of everything that they set up with both Force Awakens and Last Jedi. It made no sense.
Yeah.
They essentially threw those 2 movies out the window and made this random movie and didn't explain anything in it. They just threw it all together. I mean, yes, it's way better than any movie I could ever make. Like, there's
No.
no there's
Yeah.
no denying that. But just from a fan's perspective, it was just really anybody who just watches those 3 movies, you can clearly tell it's a huge deviation from what they were going with, and that's kind of the I don't know, that was my biggest problem.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
All right, Rick. So our next topic here that I want to go over with you is the Mandalorian. So probably coming off of the Rise of Skywalker discussion, some good Star Wars to talk about,
Yeah.
for the most part anyway. So with I mean to be brief, I did like the Mandalorian. There were like 2 episodes that were kind of meh.
There were. Yeah.
Um but I did like it. I liked the overall direction that Mandalorian was going. And, with the way it ended, especially, it
Oh
even
yeah.
more compelling. So I haven't had a chance to kinda hear your thoughts on The Mandalorian, so why don't you give me a quick Rick Metz review of The Mandalorian season 1?
Well, let me just start with this. I've always been fascinated with Boba Fett. Boba Fett isn't even actually a true Mandalorian, he's a clone, but just the idea of like his costume, the way everything looked, I always thought it was cool. They really introduced the Mandalorians and like Star Wars Rebels and all that sort of stuff, and I've just always thought they were super cool. So for me, right off the bat, I love the Mandalorian. To me, the way I was putting it to my girlfriend at the time was I was saying This is what real Star Wars is. Like this is like the real deal. And everything from just like the soundtrack to the way everybody acted, the sets, the props, Pedro Pascal. It was to me just I absolutely, especially that last episode. I mean, to me that was just epic. But there were a couple like filler episodes, I would say. They were still good, still entertaining, but the overall content wise, I thought it was great.
No, I'm with you, and, the soundtrack to it was really good. I liked the theme, just like the drum, and then the little western, like, kinda whistle it had, like
Yeah, it's kind of like a Western style Star Wars show.
right, exactly, and that was the one thing I did like about it. I liked that it was just, a story about this lone gunslinger, right? I mean, it's a kind of a stereotypical story, but we've never seen it kinda set in the world of Star Wars, and that was really interesting to me, and then obviously the Baby Yoda stuff what kinda came out of left field. That I was honestly kinda shocked. John Favreau actually just mentioned this in an interview recently, that he and I was just as shocked as apparently he was, just to see that they were actually able to keep Baby Yoda a secret. So I don't know if, like,
Yeah.
I mean, no one knew about like, no one. And, like, in today's culture, spoilers, they come out,
Oh
and,
yeah,
like, so it
yeah.
was pretty
It's hard to
shocking,
keep
like, that
things
they w
secret.
yeah, it was insane that they were actually able to keep that a secret, and, it be such, like, an interesting kinda I mean, it was Baby Yoda was a great character.
I'll be
I
honest
mean
with you, like eh, I like cute cats and kittens and dogs and puppies and stuff, but man, god damn that baby Yoda's cute.
oh, he is, man,
He's
like,
adorable.
I mean, how
Look
can
at him. Look at him.
how can you not, dude? Like, how can you not just like, what dude, and everything they did with him, I thought was great. The use of CG and props that they did to just kinda intertwine his
Yeah.
movements and his reactions and his just everything that he did, I thought they did that really well.
Oh yeah.
Like, I love just, the the last scene with, Carl Weathers' character wants him to do the thing. He's
Yeah.
like, "Do the
Do the thing.
thing!"
Do the thing. Do the
Like
thing.
it was just perfect, and then the last episode of Mandalorian was actually probably my favorite episode.
Oh, for sure.
That was great, ending aside, like, we'll get into that here in a little bit. I thought the weakest one was, where they went back to Tatooine. Like,
Yeah.
you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
Um, dude, that episode sucked, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it was kind of upsetting to me as, like,
Well,
a fan of Dave Filoni,
you
'cause
want me to mention something about that at the end of that episode? Not to cut into
sure,
what you were saying,
go
but
for it.
you know how at the end of the episode, there's the female bounty hunter that's laying dead. She's just like laying there after the whole scuffle and all that, and you see this guy walking up, and they don't really show who he is, but he's almost got like sounds like stirrups on his boots, like jingling, kind of like a cowboy. From what I understand and from what I've been told, and I've done a lot of research on this, that's Boba Fett.
Right.
So
That is,
it's like almost confirmed that that is Boba Fett.
well, I don't know, it's not confirmed yet, but I will say
Mm.
there was, the fact that, what's his name is coming back to play him. Um,
The guy who played Django.
the guy who played Django, what was his name? Let me see if I can pull him up real quick.
Great actor.
He was great in Aquaman as, did you watch Aquaman?
I did not.
Oh,
I gotta get on
well,
board.
um, it is what it is. But anyway, I don't think there's a chance he might not actually be playing Boba Fett.
Who else would he be playing though? Because I mean,
Any of the clones.
he at that age that
Any
he
of
is
the
at
clones.
now. Well, yeah, he could be like.
He could be playing Rex.
I was gonna say he could be Captain Rex. Yeah.
Because I will say there is a character, and I can pull this up here actually. I got it here on Deadline. Or this was on Deadline? No, this was a CNN article, but I saw this on Deadline before, I believe. But regardless, Timothy Oliphant's character, or Timothy Oliphant got revealed that he was going to be on the show, right? So in this article, they go over that He's because there was rumors came out that they thought that he was actually gonna be playing Boba Fett, okay? Which is like you said, if the other guy's in there who is also confirmed to be in there, like, well, why would he be playing Boba Fett? Why would Timothy Olyphant
Yeah,
be playing Boba Fett
yeah.
if they have the guy who
He
played
doesn't really look like.
well, no, and that's the thing. If you look right here, okay, in the Legends material, there is a guy named Cobb Vanth, okay? He was actually, I don't even know if it was Legends, it was in the Aftermath book, so that's actually not, that wasn't Legend, that should be new canon, I think. But regardless, there's, that character ended up wearing Boba Fett's armor, okay? Like, Boba
Interesting.
Fett crawled out of the Sarlacc pit, alright?
Remove the armor. Oh, no, I heard about
He
that.
didn't wear the
Yeah.
armor anymore, and, so this guy wore Boba Fett's armor and kinda went around Tatooine as, like,
Like an impersonator almost?
I don't know, I didn't read the novel, this was news to me in the article itself because I haven't read all
There
of,
was
like,
a
Star
fake
Wars
there was
and
like a
stuff.
faux Boba Fett, I know, in the comics.
Yeah, and there's a chance that I think and that's what I mean when I say that I don't necessarily think that, that actor is going to be playing Boba Fett, and I'm meaning that he's not gonna be in the Boba Fett armor.
Yeah,
You might see him as Boba Fett outside of the armor. Sure,
which would be very interesting.
it would because I mean not all Mandalorians follow the same code that this group of Mandalorians do
Yeah,
that like
this
don't
is the
remove their
way.
helmet. Yeah. So I mean him not having his helmet on and him for one not even being a Mandalorian, technically speaking,
Yeah, and
is yeah, he can have his helmet off no problem. So it's like not a big deal at all. So I don't know. You want to hear something though, a bit controversial?
let's hear it.
I don't like Boba Fett, dude. I don't like him.
This
Dude,
is a conversation for another time.
no. I'll tell you why. I'll keep it brief, all right? It's not that I don't like Boba Fett, all right? It's that people made such a big deal about Boba Fett, all right? Made such a big deal about him. And he was cool looking, all right? He was cool looking. There's no denying that, but all Mandalorians are cool looking,
They are.
right?
They
Like
are.
all Mandalorians look good. It just is what it is.
It's that helmet.
It's the helmet, it's the style, it's the swagger they all have that we've kind of been later introduced through not with Boba Fett because Boba
Yeah.
Fett didn't do anything in
He
any of the
kinda died
movies.
a well, he didn't die, but he kind of went away in kind of a puny way
He
too.
did, and that's what I'm getting into, alright? So here's the thing. Everyone, like, loves Boba Fett so much, and he does all this stuff, and, like, yes, I'll give the one scene in the movie where Darth Vader looks over to him and says, you know, "No disintegration." Like,
Like, as you wish.
yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so you got, like, through that one line, you got the idea that, like, this dude don't look around, alright?
No, yeah.
This
Yeah.
dude, more often than not, probably don't bring people back alive.
No.
Like, so, like, then that's
They're no
cool and all.
good to him dead.
Alright. So, like, the problem, though, I've always had is that in Return of the Jedi, he gets beat by blind Han Solo.
He does.
Like
He literally gets knocked off of a
yeah,
the barge into the Sarlacc pit.
he's blind. Like,
He just, like, accidentally knocks him
yeah,
out.
it's like, so you're this ruthless, you know,
Bounty hunter.
bounty hunter to be feared across the galaxy, you know,
Some blind guy
and
just,
some
like,
blind
turns
dude
around and accidentally knocks you into a
yeah,
hole.
some blind dude with muscle atrophy who's, you know, frozen in carbonite for who knows how long, whatever it was, oops you into that hole, and it's like,
On total accident,
yeah, like,
not to
yeah.
mention.
So like, ever since then, I was like, "Hey, he's not that cool." Like
I
he
think it's the
looks cool.
looks thing,
It's the
yeah.
looks things for sure.
But,
I mean,
with The
we
Mandalorian
get
coming
that.
out, seeing all these new Mandalorian characters, as you've seen throughout the show if you've watched it, like, they all look so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And, to me, the Mandalorian armor has always been super appealing.
Yeah, the Mandalorian armor has always been great. I mean, they have a very good look to them.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. But, yeah, that's just always bothered me. And then you find out later, like, once the prequels are finally made, this was just the icing on the cake for me. You find out he's, like, just some clone.
Yeah. Well, here's what I was gonna mention to you. I thought about this. Boba Fett back in the like mid to late 90s when they like re-released all the movies and stuff. That's when I really started getting into Star Wars as a kid. And I read the encyclopedia. I used to read like early websites on it. The thing that made Boba Fett cool was nobody knew who he was. People even speculated at one point that he was a female with a voice changer. And people were like, is he an alien? Is he a human? Is he a this? Is
Yeah, I
he a that?
remember all
And
that.
then you
Yeah,
just find out, oh no, he's just a clone.
yeah. No, exactly, and that's I feel like that was kind of like I said, the icing on the cake to where I was just like, as a kid, when the Clone Wars movie came out, Attack of the Clones, I was like, "Oh, that's it?" Because I mean, we knew kinda going into if I remember correctly, like, granted, I was much younger at this point in time, but I remember the hype going into the Attack of the Clones movie coming out, and we knew because I think Django was in the trailers,
Yeah, and you're like,
and
oh my gosh, who's that?
yeah, and, like, well, I think, like, word came out, like, "That's Boba Fett's dad." And
Yeah.
so, like, you're just like, "Boom, find out who Boba Fett is,"
And
and,
you're
like
introduced to this little angry kid.
yeah, and it's just like, "Oh, so
Kind
that
of,
guy's Boba?"
yeah.
I'm like, "Okay." I'm like,
Just this angry little
that's
dude.
that's fine, I guess, but
Yeah.
and it was Tamora Mortensen, that's his name, the
Tamara
actor's
Mortensen.
name
He's
who plays
Samoan
Django.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, no, he was good. He was a good knock, man. I'm looking forward to him coming back in any capacity. I think if done right, if even if he is playing Boba Fett, and even if he is playing, I think it'd honestly be cooler if he was playing Rex, like or
Yeah,
something
Rex
like
was a good
that.
character.
Like, because I mean, they're bringing in Ahsoka Tano into Mandalorian season 2 as
Right?
well. So
Like,
I mean,
that's crazy.
with Dave Filoni attached, I would honestly say it's more likely that it's going to be Rex because
Like an older beaten Rex
yeah,
kinda, yeah.
because Dave Filoni, he was a showrunner for, the Clone Wars and Rebels animated shows. He created and flushed out all those characters. Like, that was
Something
all him.
something tells me though too with clones, I was reading somewhere that they age I think it was actually in Attack of the Clones, they mentioned when they're on Camino that the clones age, I think it's they age quicker than normal people do. Like at a higher rate, like a faster rate. It could be slower though too. I don't recall, but it's one or the other.
I think
Which
you're right about that to some capacity. I can't
um,
remember what it is.
it's like their lifespans are just different from like a typical human.
Yeah.
But
No, yeah, no, that makes sense. Or was no, wasn't it that their, initial development was accelerated? So
true.
they get to full grown quicker.
Yeah, maybe that's what it
I
is.
don't know if it
Because
affected
there's a
them
lot
after that.
of like with Rebels and Clone Wars, there's a lot of older clones.
Yeah.
And post Order
Yeah, because
66.
they show back up in Rebels,
Yeah.
and they're older. Like they have, I think he has like a white mustache, white beard.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I think just with like I said, with Dave Filoni being the showrunner. Well, no, he's not the showrunner of Mandalorian, but him and Jon Favreau are both the showrunners for Mandalorian. So I don't know, and with Ahsoka Tano coming back, and with Tamara Mortensen coming in. It's pretty likely that he could play both, though, I guess, in all reality.
Yeah. I
He
mean, you
could be
could have
playing
them
older Boba Fett, and he could play Rex.
because technically they're the same.
They're the same guy.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
have the same
feature
they
wise
have the
at
same
least.
genetic material. It's the
Yeah.
same person.
And you got to
Right.
think like Tamar Mortensen, the guy that played him, at the age he's at now, it would be the perfect age for him to be Boba Fett because
Yeah,
Boba Fett would obviously be older. But
absolutely. Yeah, they
same with
wouldn't have
Rex
to
too.
yeah, they wouldn't have to age him up any or anything, like,
No.
it's just it would just work.
Yeah.
Now, I think it'd be cool too, 'cause and also, if Boba Fett is in the show, it's he's gonna be in 1 episode, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
But
it's gonna be like a cameo
yeah, it's
appearance.
not gonna be anything major. And, like, and that's why I think it'd be cooler if the scene you were talking about where everybody just assumed those boots were, like, Boba Fett's, especially after we found out Tamora Mortensen was actually gonna be coming back
Yeah.
or well, yeah, coming back to play somebody. Um, I think it'd be cooler if they actually went the character route with Timothy Olyphant or another character, somebody wearing that armor, like a kind of a rogue Mandalorian, like
Yeah.
a rogue vigilante in Mandalorian armor. I think is a cooler
That
story.
armor has seen some action too.
Oh
So
yeah,
you got to think by this point that stuff is probably beat to hell and back.
absolutely. And I just think that makes for a better story. Because honestly speaking, too, with the way that they've been. portraying our Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal's character, and like his path that he's on. Where does Boba Fett come into that? Because Boba
True.
Fett is not someone who has the same Mandalorian code that
He's
he
not even
has at all.
Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He became a bounty hunter, and like and that's like all he did because his dad did it. And he had a really effed up life if you really think about it.
And his
He
Boba
watched his
Fett's armor
dad's
is
head get blown.
Django's armor, technically, I think.
I don't, he probably got because that's the thing I've never really been too sure of. Because like in the end of that movie, they obviously show like him pick up the the armor and whatnot and the helmet at the end, but like
With his
his
dad's
armor
head.
was all silver and shiny, and then we see Boba's and it's all like
It's like
so. I don't,
brown and green and beat up. And
yeah,
it's
the
funny
helmet.
actually.
I think the helmet was probably the same and repainted, but I mean, I
Random
don't.
fact: the dent. Boba Fett's known for having that giant dent on his helmet.
Yeah,
Apparently, the way he got that is he somehow or another got in like a scuffle with Darth Vader. He shot at Darth Vader with his blaster. Darth Vader reflected the shot with his lightsaber. The bolt hit him in the head, and that's where the dent came from. And that's like canon Star Wars like fact, I
is
guess.
that new canon though, or is that Disney canon, or
I,
was that Legends?
I think it's Legends, say,
I
but
don't know. It'd still be a cool story.
yeah, yeah. I guess they became friends again afterwards.
Yeah,
Like, okay, sorry
well,
about that.
he's got a particular set of skills, dude.
Yeah,
Like you just when you need them, you need them. Is what it is.
like let's forget about that little scuffle.
Yeah, right. So, what do you think about the big reveal? The big reveal at the end.
Oh man,
What do you think about
I
that?
was laying in bed watching that when that happened, and I saw that end of the dark saber come out of the Tie Fighter, and my girlfriend at the time, tell you, like I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's the dark saber, and I was blown away.
I was shocked. I didn't think they'd go there.
Like my jaw dropped
Yeah,
actually.
I didn't think they'd go there. Like it really did surprise me. Like that's the thing. Like they were able to keep Baby Yoda under wraps and the dark saber stuff under wraps, which I like. I gotta commend them just for that.
Yeah, and the dark saber
Really.
looked perfect too.
Yeah, I mean, it looks exactly like as you would imagine it would look in a live action scenario. Like it looks great. Where do you think they're gonna go with Moff Gideon then? And like, do you think they're gonna get into like, especially with Ahsoka Tano coming in? Do you think that maybe they're gonna get into um like have Gideon and her cross paths and like
I would think so.
maybe something with their backstory
Because
is
Moff
tied to the dark
Gideon's
saber?
like pretty much like the ultimate bad guy of the Mandalorian so far, and I think somehow or another, I honestly, our Mandalorian Pascal, I don't think that he could just like take him, especially with a dark saber. So I think somebody's going to have to step in a system, and that could very well be Ahsoka Tano. So
Hmm. Well, that's what would make the most sense. I feel like one of two things are gonna happen. Ahsoka Tano is gonna randomly come in while because it seems like the really just the path of the Mandalorian is gonna be on is just trying to get Baby Yoda back to his people.
yeah,
Or he's gonna try to find some semblance of his race,
it'll be interesting to find out what that is.
which I don't think we'll ever get there. I think I think it's just gonna be a road trip kind of thing where like that's the ultimate goal,
Yeah, but they
and
never
it
actually
it
make
never
it.
happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like because I mean even to this day we only know of three of Yoda's race at this point.
yeah,
Yeah. So like, well, Yoda, Yodel, and then Baby Yoda now. That's the
yeah.
three. So I feel like what's going to end up happening is just during,
I wonder if his name's just Yo.
that's what, or yeah, that's what it should
Yo.
be. Yeah. I'd be good with that. Little yo,
Yo.
young low.
What up, yo?
Yeah, yo. Get over here, yo. Um, I think eventually, I think they'll probably cross paths with Ahsoka Tano while he's trying to like find some semblance of the race, or like, and then either through Ahsoka Tano they'll learn more, and we'll learn more about the dark saber and Moff Gideon.
That's what I'm interested to find out.
Yeah, or since the dark saber has much more Mandalorian roots than like Jedi roots, maybe it could be through we learn more about the how he obtained the dark saber because that's the big question is like how did he get the dark saber?
True.
So like we learn more about that through maybe another group of Mandalorians, a new clan or something that he runs into on this path that he also, runs into Ahsoka Tano on eventually or whatever, who can kind of tell us how this happened. But
Yeah. We'll have to just wait and see what happens, I guess.
yeah, I don't know. I'd like Ahsoka Tano to probably not have anything to do with it. In all
Yeah.
honesty, at least as far as the dark saber goes, because I think she has her own stuff going on,
Yeah, for sure.
and like eh, that's Dave Filoni's creation, Ahsoka Tano. So like obviously he'll probably try to give her some big important thing to do
That's what I would
to
think.
some capacity. Did you speaking of which, did you watch the Clone Wars finale? The season 6?
I didn't watch the
Or is
finale.
it season 7 or 8? Whatever the
No.
newest one
I
is
didn't
on
really
Disney
catch
Plus.
up a lot on like the Clone Wars. I've only seen like bits and pieces of it, but from everything I've seen, it's really good. Same with Rebels.
Yeah. I like the Rebel. I mean, the only thing I dislike about either of the shows is that they have a lot of filler episodes.
Yeah. Well,
That's
The
not
Mandalorian
good.
had a couple filler episodes that just
Yeah, and
really
those
did
were terrible.
nothing for the story.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, it was cool because it's like, oh, I'm watching Mandalorian. But I mean, when you look back at it, they did nothing for the story or the plot.
What did you think about them being like 30 minutes long? Were you because I mean everybody was expecting it to be an hour-long drama. Everybody.
Uh,
Everybody was taken by
I
surprise.
was just appreciative of the show being out, so I didn't even really think of it that way. At
It's really
every
good.
episode, at the end of every episode, I would always catch myself thinking, like, want more, I want more, but
Oh
you
yeah,
gotta wait until next week, kind of like what we talked about earlier with the weekly thing.
exactly.
And I think that really kind of drew me into the show just
Yeah.
because, you weren't able just to sit down and binge watch the whole season. I don't really do that anyways. So
I like to do it with certain things. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I feel like what happens with people binge watching stuff, I don't feel like everybody like sets out to binge watch something.
yeah,
You
they
just
just kind
end
of,
up doing it
yeah,
because
they
you
just
get
get
so
drawn into it.
invested and it's there,
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of what happens with it. That's what like yeah, truthfully I haven't even gone back and I might have a different experience with Mandalorian if I went back and actually like binge watched it all the way through. And it wouldn't even take that long since they're only 30-minute episodes. It'd only be like 4 hours as long as the Zack Snyder's Justice League movie is going to be
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it would have any sort of different effect or feel any different.
Yeah, I've been considering. I watched Rogue One the other night, and God, we don't have to talk about that, but that is a great.
That's the best Disney era Star Wars movie, I
Oh,
think.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
That and Force Awakens. I
Yeah,
mean,
Force Awakens is good.
I like Force Awakens a lot, but it's tainted. There's just been too much. Like it had a lot of potential, and it just kind of all went away. Like as it's just, I don't know. But Rogue One was great.
Oh gosh, it
Right.
was so good.
Hey, I thought it was. I thought they did a great job. That's that Darth Vader scene.
Oh man,
That Darth
that gave
Vader
me
scene.
chills.
That was the. I mean, that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I mean, isn't the. That's not necessarily a good thing, but like
No, I
saying
thought it
that, but
was
at the same
so
time,
cool how it tied in right to the very up to the very beginning of A New Hope.
yeah, you
Like
can literally watch
right.
those back to back, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Like they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, unlike other things, they did a really good job with that. I thought the movie was pretty great too.
Oh yeah.
So, but you should watch if you can. I don't know if you have Disney Plus or not, but the new season of Clone Wars. If you get the chance, watch the last 4 episodes.
Clone Wars last 4 episodes.
The last 4 episodes, because like if you watch, I didn't even watch the. I think it's only 8 episodes total, and but the last four are their own story. Like, and it's literally ties in directly, just like Rogue One ties into A New Hope. The
Yeah.
last 4 episodes of this tie directly into Revenge of the Sith.
Oh.
So like you're going through, you're seeing um the clones receiving Order 66 through the eyes of Ahsoka Tano with the clone.
Yeah.
So they all
And
start.
she defeats him, obviously. But
Well, I mean, yeah, but they're of course. How could she not?
yeah, I mean, like,
How could she
yeah,
not? But you see it all happening, and then, like, it cuts to, like, Anakin and, like, becoming Darth Vader and, like, blah, 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 and then, Darth Maul's back in it, and, like, he's Darth Maul's dope, so,
Oh
I
god,
mean,
yeah.
he's
Darth
super
Maul's like one
cool,
of the coolest
and
people.
they have a very there's a couple scenes where it was just a huge callback to that scene in, Rogue One with Darth Vader because they just have Darth Maul walking through a ship, just wrecking fools in the same way that Darth Vader was
Yeah.
wrecking fools in Rogue One.
Like
So
they
it was
kind of
really
took
cool.
that from Rogue One almost.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent to it. I would be shocked if that's not what inspired them to do it that way,
Yeah.
because it was I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like there was one scene that was like it no, it literally was like shot for shot. Like, they were, like, running, trying to, like, close the door, and, like, Darth Maul's just he's just slow walking towards them all, and, like
Yeah.
and I think, it was really cool because it was much that's the thing, like, these last 4 episodes of the show, granted, I didn't watch the first 4, but I've heard from people who did watch the first 4. Like, these last 4, they even have a different title card than the other 4 do.
Oh.
Like, and they're all like, part 1, part 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the logo's in, like, red, and, like, the other one's just, like, the regular Clone Wars series logo. It was
Yeah.
almost like these 4 episodes were, like, what they wanted to make, and they just made the intro ones for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because like, these 4 are completely I mean, like I said, I didn't watch the first 4, and I knew exactly what was going on, so that obviously wasn't needed, like, to watch, like, to know what was happening. But, I would actually recommend watching it. It's pretty good.
I think I've got access to
It's
it.
pretty good.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You should check it out. Alright, you got anything else you wanna talk about me? Oh, actually, no, yeah, I do. Hold on.
What is it?
Okay. 'Cause I kinda touched on it, but I didn't before.
Touch on it again.
No, 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 this is different. This is different. What do you want to, all that being said about Mandalorian season 1, Rick Metz, I ask you, what do you wanna see out of season 2? Like, if you could have 1 or 2 things that you just really wanna see happen, that, like, what is it?
Man, that's hard to say. I've kind of covered a little bit of it. Like I would like to see Boba Fett just because he's Boba Fett. I'd definitely like to hear more about the dark saber. Getting into Baby Yoda's origins maybe a little bit more, figuring out just kind of like maybe even just dropping some hints about like his civilization and where they came from because they're the most mysterious species in Star Wars. But, I definitely would love to see the Mandalorian whip Moff Gideon's ass, which I'm sure will
Yeah.
happen. So I think, really, I'm just excited to see it. I don't have a lot of expectations set up. I know it's gonna be good. So we'll just have to wait and see.
No, yeah, I'm kinda with you on that. I would love to I don't think they ever will, but I really would love for them to actually flesh out Yoda's race a little bit.
Yeah, I don't
Just
know
any
that they
sort of
will
thing.
either, just to keep it mysterious.
I know, but it's just like it's so on at some point, something being left so unanswered is kind of just annoying. Just because
Yeah.
mainly just because we don't know okay, if we don't learn anything about Yoda's race in general, then I'd at least like to learn exactly where this baby Yoda came from.
Oh,
Like
yeah, what's
like,
its origins?
is it
Like
actually a baby of that race, or is it a clone of Yoda? You
yeah, I
know?
mean, there's so many things that, variables that it
Yeah.
could be. So it'll be interesting to find that out.
Yeah,
But
mainly, like, with my main question I've always had with, like, the Yoda race is just why, especially now with seeing Baby Yoda, is just what makes them so in tune with the Force,
true,
you know? And
true.
that's why I'd like to just know more about the race in general.
Because obviously their race has quite a bit of force abilities.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's where the part where, like, it being so unanswered, just with we literally have no information. We don't even know the name of the home world is.
Yeah.
Like,
If there is one, I mean,
that's what I'm
shoot.
saying. So I was like, where do they come from, man? Like, are they just forced beings like the space whales in Clone Wars? Like,
Yeah,
you
right.
know what I mean? Like,
Space whales.
I'd like to know more about Baby Yoda, where he came from, or uh their race in general. That'd probably be it if I could pick.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please consider liking and subscribing. We're going to be dropping these episodes every Monday at 8 a.m. That's the plan right now. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like to submit to the show for us to discuss, just email us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. All right. Until next time, I'm Rob Bifo. He was Rick Metz. Take care.